Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today I have a little swatch and review for TYCHE Lacquer's The Apothecary Diaries Part 1 collection. TYCHE is a small indie brand that I feel like I've talked about here and there on my channel because I picked up a couple of their polishes months ago but never got around to sharing them, so I have a little review video now for a newer collection. The Apothecary Diaries is just this quad here, but they did also send me one of their most popular shades, and these are already available, so you probably have seen them, maybe even picked them up already, but I will share some more information at the end of the video after comparisons. For now, let me just show you the swatches. The first polish we have is Balsam and Wood Sorrel, which is a delicate pink with a golden shimmer. So this is the only non-magnetic in the quad, and it is so gorgeous. You already knew I was gonna love this one. I guess I wouldn't agree with calling it like a delicate pink because that makes me think of a light baby pink shade, and this one has a really nice richness to the color. It's so romantic and sultry to me, just so beautiful with a really lovely formula as well. A little bit sheer on the first coat, but pretty full coverage on just two. I didn't find that I needed a third coat for this one, so I imagine if you have shorter nails, this is a solid two-coater. Now for the magnetics, the first one we have here is the Moon Prince, and this is described as a deep violet base with a strong blue shimmer and a purple pink magnetic shift. Such a stunning color combination, super contrasty, super glowy as well. A pretty decent formula too. I would say it's a little bit on like the jelly leaning side, and on the first coat I had a little bit of unevenness, but I was able to kind of work it out and it self-leveled nicely. So another easy to work with formula, and I feel like I got really nice coverage on the two coats. I mean, since it is so dark, I feel like you could get away with this in two coats, but in real life I could still see a bit more nail line than I normally like with cat eyes especially, so I did end up doing a third coat for this for my live swatch. And I found that it was 100% opaque at this point, definitely couldn't see through to any nail line, but that might change in direct sun, but I didn't have a chance to show that with these. Either way, super gorgeous shade. I love the shifts in this one, it's just so dramatic, and here you can see it unmagnetized on the left compared to velvet on the right. I honestly feel like the magnetic is almost like a fine particle. It's just so finely milled, but the background shimmer, you can see those individual little shimmer particles. Then we have the Apothecary, and this is described as a shimmer emerald base with green and blue magnetic shimmers and a light touch of iridescent flakes in green, pink, and purple. This pretty much had the same kind of formula as the last shade. It's a little bit on the jelly leaning side, so a bit sheer. This one wasn't as self-leveling though. As you can see, I have some unevenness going on, but it still had a nice, easy to work with formula that I actually found built up pretty well in just the two coats. I think this is another one that, you know, has a darker base, so depending on your application or your nail length, this could be a 2 to 3 coater, kind of similar to the last shade. I really love the shimmery emerald base in this one. It's just so gorgeous, and especially with the aqua blue magnetic that has a shift to a deeper, almost cobalt blue in extreme light. It's just so, I was gonna say oceanic, but it's a lot more green, you know, maybe swampy or something. It's just a gorgeous combination, but I don't love the flakes in this one. I feel like they're a little too small or sparse, but I do like how easily this magnetized, especially with the glass bead. It was just so glassy. And rounding out the collection is Wanna Find Out, which I would describe as a jelly base in this sort of deep berry color that has a blue-green chameleon shifting shimmer in the background with a pink to gold to white magnetic shimmer. Unsurprisingly, this had another similar formula to the other polishes. Really nice coverage on the first coat, a little bit uneven, but it was like a nice formula and just easy to work with, and then build up. And I found this one opaque for me in the 2 coats. If you look close enough, you can see through to a little bit of nail line, but it was already so dark that I didn't want to deepen it with a 3rd coat. I just loved that berry base color so much. I would say this is another top favorite of mine. Definitely my favorite from the Magnetics. You know I love a deep berry base, and I love the lighter sort of pink magnetic shimmer in this, and with the greenish blue background shimmer, it's just so pretty. If anything, I would just say that this one has the least fine particle effect with the magnetic shimmer. And the extra that I have is 3R, which is described as a silver shimmer base with a red and orange magnetic shimmer. This one had another fantastic formula. I feel like it looked so even on the 1st coat. It is just a tiny bit sheer, and I would say with the shimmery base of this one, it almost has a pearlescent effect, so I would be careful with your application just to make sure you don't have many brush strokes. And yeah, this was another solid 2-coater. It magnetized so easily. I found these to be all super reactive, and I initially wasn't really feeling this one, I guess because I'm not such a silver lover to begin with, but also because the cat eye was, you know, a little bit on the subtle side. But seeing this with the velvet effect where you get that stronger reddish flash was just so stunning. I also thought it was interesting to see it unmagnetized because the red sort of blends in, almost giving it this like muted rose gold look. And even though this might not be a fine particle magnetic, it is still really smooth and gave me a nice small tiny little bead. Now moving on to comparisons, we're starting with Balsam and Wood Sorrel, and I first thought of Polish for Days Blossom and Glitch's Lovey Dovey. They just kind of were in that same family, being these like mid-toned, warm, pinky shades, but Blossom is a bit more orchid in its base with an orangey shimmer. So I think Lovey Dovey is a little bit closer, just maybe a little lighter, and the shimmer is more subtle. And here it is next to ILNP's signature from the Social Light collection, which is kind of a warm pink with a gold shimmer, but that one's just so much more muted. Next, for the moon prints, I immediately thought of a couple shades like Ethereal's Midsummer Eve and ILNP's Mood Ring. I figured between these two, the Ethereal was going to be a lot closer, being more of a smoother shimmer, like a fine particle kind of magnetic. ILNP's magnetics are always a little bit more speckly with their shimmers, if that makes sense. Like it's a large particle shimmer, but the Ethereal is a little bit more violet purple in its base, while the moon prints to me looks a little bit more indigo. And surprisingly, the magnetic shimmer is also a little bit more red looking in the Ethereal, but it's still really close. Next, for the Apothecary, I thought of Mooncat's Drown My Demons and ILNP's Enchantment, which are other tealy blue-green kind of magnetics, but the main difference is that the magnetic shimmer in the Apothecary is that brighter aqua blue, while it's more of that greenish yellow color in the other two shades. So I guess between these two, the ILNP is a little bit closer, at least having a green base. And for Wanna Find Out, this immediately reminded me of Crack's Ghoul's Garden from last year's Halloween collection, which has a really similar vibe with the berry kind of base color, the pink magnetic, the green background shimmer, but on the nail, Wanna Find Out is a little bit deeper and more plummy in color, so just ever so slightly more purple compared to Ghoul's Garden. But yeah, these are obviously really close, super similar vibes. The TYCHE is just the darker, moodier sibling. I also figured I could compare this next to Mooncat's Root of All Evil and Lust for Vengeance, which are just other dark, moody kind of berry bases with really vibrant blue-green kind of shimmers. I initially thought this was going to be closest to Lust for Vengeance, but I forget how light that one is on the nail, so you can again see more of that plummy color in the TYCHE. So I guess with how dark it is, it would be a little closer to Root of All Evil, but that one almost has this brownish red undertone to the base. And while the green shimmer isn't as in your face in the TYCHE, it does still shift to this darker blue color in extreme light, similar to Root of All Evil. And lastly, I did want to show a bottle comparison next to Sylvanclaw's Toxic Barb, which is obviously a micro glitter formula, but I thought the base color and green shimmer was pretty close. And finally for 3R, the closest shade that I had to this was Mooncat's Smokescreen, being this gray crelly base with a pink magnetic shimmer, but it doesn't really have that shimmery silver metallic in the background, so that made me think of Mooncat's Death Star, which is another magnetic, but it only has a white silver magnetic shimmer. So at least leaving that unmagnetized, it can kind of look like 3R in certain angles, at least more than Smokescreen in my opinion. And then I decided to do a layer of Crack's Scorchy, which is a red orange kind of magnetic topper, and it sort of darkened the base a little bit, or I guess re-wet the base and magnetized Death Star, but it's kind of a close vibe. So that wraps up my swatches and comparisons for TYCHE Lacquer's The Apothecary Diaries Part 1 collection. As always, I would love to know what you think of these, or if you've heard of TYCHE Lacquer before. Like I said in the intro, they are still a pretty small indie brand, and I love that their collections are focused or inspired by anime and video games. I just always think that's so fun. Even though admittedly for this collection, I am not familiar with it. I haven't watched The Apothecary Diaries, so I'd love to know that if you have watched it, do you think these are really spot on shades? Like, are they feeling inspired by the original anime? I definitely would love to hear what you think about that. But as far as objectively speaking, the polishes go, they were fantastic formulas, just really impressive overall. I'm so glad that I finally got to try them out because, like I said, I did also pick up a couple of magnetics from their Expedition 33 collection, which I think was like earlier in the spring maybe, but I haven't had a chance to wear them yet, which I know is just so crazy. But now that I have tried their magnetic formula, I'm just even more excited to get to wearing those because they are super beautiful. But I did really enjoy these. They are just stunning colors, great formulas, and like I mentioned, they are already available, so I will have their website linked below if you are interested in checking any of these out or just anything else that they have to offer. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video on this new to me brand, and let me know any of your thoughts down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!